Previously on Funny Feelings. Looking back on the things I have done, I was dying to be someone in my heart, something in the dark, and then you gave something the shape of my heart. Yep, it takes a special kind of talent to actually sing worse than the Backstreet Boys.
I got fun, funny feelings. Da, 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 da. I got fun, funny feelings. Da, 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 da. I got love, I got light, and funny feelings. I got love, I got light, and da, 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 da. And da, 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 da.
I'm bowing to you. This is Funny Feelings. I am your host. Hello. I'm Scotty Gunther, and I'm glad to have you along. Today's show is brought to you by the Coworkers Challenge, the best in team building and sports relief. I don't even know what that means. It's not sports relief, it's stress relief. Well, I guess you could get stressed out in sports, I guess. Guess that's why they retire early. So if you're a professional athlete and you're looking for that edge... Can we start this over? Okay, good. Looking back on the things. Not there. No, not there. All right. Do it right. You're being unprofessional. The Coworkers Challenge is the finest in team building and stress relief for your corporate event. Check out the coworkerschallenge.com or scottysays.com. See, I can do it right. I like how my personal conversations turn into shows. That's probably another reason why a lot of people don't date me. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that, am I? I'm supposed to act like I'm never available, because that way you want me, because who wants to hire the person without a job? And I got lots of jobs. But every time I talk to somebody, it turns into a show. I was talking to this cute, tall, freckly-faced girl. And she's cute. And she asked me if I was single, and I said yes, and she said, that's surprising. And my first thought was, yeah, talk to me for 5 minutes, and it won't be surprising anymore. You'll know why. And she was like, no, seriously, I've listened to your shows before. You seem to have this whole relationship thing down to a science. You got to figure it out. You're right. How come you can't find anybody to go along with you? And I think it's a couple of things, and I think we'll talk about that today. Who needs therapy when you have a podcast? Now, keep in mind when I talk about me being single, I am not going to give you reasons that I think make me look good. I'm not going to sit there and go, well, I'm single because everybody else is screwed up, even though I do think that. I would never say that out loud. I'm single because I'm picky, and those are all true, but I don't think those are the key factors of why I'm single. You just thought... It's because you're an ass. And that could be a reason. And that's the end of the show. Thank you. Scotty. I have to be completely honest with you. I hate that because that implies sometimes I'm not honest with you. And that's not true, too. I'm always honest. So I'm going to say what I normally say. I was a bit taken back when somebody actually acted surprised to hear that I was single. Like I said, they usually go, yeah, well, there's a shocker. So that's nice. That makes me feel good on the inside. And she should be surprised because I'm a catch. God. No, we're not going to do that. I like when people have to tell other people how awesome they are. When they do that, there tends to be, a little bit of something going on. Like if someone has to tell you how cool they are, chances are they're not really cool. The cool people don't have to tell you they're cool. You automatically know they're cool. Adam Levine doesn't have to run around and go, I'm awesome. People know, well, that's up to debate, but you probably, if you're a girl, you think Adam Levine is awesome. Oh my gosh. I think he looks like a pipsqueak, but that's okay. That's all right. He's such a cute little guy. And he's rich. I mean, even before the band, his parents are rich. Well, that doesn't matter. I like him for what he's got on the inside. Yeah, the inside of his Porsche. So I started thinking, what is the real reason why I'm single, per se? It can't be because I didn't find the right person. Statistically, there had to be 400 right people, right? I mean, at my age, all the people I meet, there had to be at least 400 people that I didn't settle in on. Am I that arrogant or cocky to think that none of these people were the right people? Or can I accept the fact that there's probably things that I'm doing that doesn't propagate a good, loving relationship? It can't be all them. If you listen to the show, I have all the right answers. Now, the question is, do I execute those things? Do I actually practice what I preach? Do I do those things in everyday life? And if I do them, why don't I have 500 girlfriends? Well, because that would be unfaithful and very tiring. I never understood guys who had like a family and then had a second family. Are you insane? That's like getting out of prison and locking yourself in a dog kennel over the weekend. You got to pass from your family. You go do other things. You don't go do another family. But then I started thinking, if I met the right person, I would know that. And I'm not dumb enough to let that person slip through my fingers. There's no way. I'm not dumb. I know a good deal when I see it. So maybe all these people weren't right. But then I started thinking, okay, well, what are things that I do that aren't good for a relationship? Am I not attentive? Am I this? Am I that? So I started looking at these things. And this got interesting. I love self-examination. I mean, not the kind you stand over a mirror naked. Madonna recommended that once. She said, stand over a mirror and introduce yourself to your body parts, which I did at like the age of 13. I didn't have a mirror, but I introduced myself to my body part. Yes, I'll be working blue today. And I figured out my biggest problem in all relationships is my expectation of having an equal relationship. I believe relationships are partnerships. I believe relationships are equal. I don't believe, and this is going to come off as heartless, and I apologize, but not really. I don't believe that relationships is one person cleaning up someone else's mess or one person clinging to someone else. I believe in equal partnerships. It's equal. Not one person using their power to emotionally hijack the other person. Now, you may be going, wow, who hurt you in the past? But it's not that. It's looking at all relationships. There's always a dynamic. There's always a power. And unfortunately nowadays, and this is not me being sexist, but nowadays it's usually the woman telling the man what to do. The woman controlling the house. I want these kinds of chairs. Your couch has to go in the basement. All that stuff. And in order for the guy to continue to have sex with a pretty girl, he has to just basically bend over emotionally and do whatever it takes. Happy wife, happy life. And I don't necessarily believe that. I believe two people should be happy together. That's what a team is. And people will say, oh, no, I agree with that. That's great. And then they'll play little tricks on me or do little emotional things or do a little pout lip, like they pout lip me. Like, really? I don't get a ceiling fan pout lip? And it's like, okay, that's it. I don't believe adults use guilt to trick other people into getting what they want. I don't believe partners do that in a business or otherwise. If we sit down to have a conversation, it can't be one person trying to emotionally manipulate the other person to prove to me you love me. I don't want to be in a relationship where I have to prove to the other person that I love them. They should know that I love them. I'm with them. And if I'm with you, I love you, because me being the person that I am, I wouldn't be with you if I didn't love you. I'd probably be doing something else, like eating strawberry nerds or whatever. Is that a reasonable expectation? Can you have two people in power? If you're both in power, then you're separate, right? If one person rules themselves, the other person rules themselves, then what? Like, can you have, there's only one dictator, there's only one person in power, right? So I don't even know if that expectation that I have or that concept in my mind is a real legitimate thing. I don't know if it's possible for two people to come together and work as a team. On paper, women will say, I want my best friend. Really? Because does your best friend do everything that you want? Does your best friend bend over to make you happy? Nowadays, probably, yeah. I've seen that a lot where a friend is a good friend. They always say that a true friend. A true friend is there for you no matter what. Now, my idea is a true friend will smack you in the face if you're acting like a moron. Now, I don't recommend smacking people in the face in relationships. In fact, my neighbor across the street did that the other day and went to jail again. And the interesting thing is they were hauling him out in handcuffs. You know what he said? He went, hey, but she hit me first. It's equal. You hit me, I hit you. Wait, no, that doesn't sound right. But I want an equal partnership in a relationship. We make decisions together. But is that really possible? Because one person wants their own way and the other person wants their own way. And I have found whoever controls the girl part pretty much controls the relationship. Shouldn't be that way. I might be sexist. I might be a what do they call that? Misogynist. I almost said monogamous. We know I'm a monogamous. When I'm with one person, that's all I do. That sounded wrong too. I'm horrible today. I don't know what it is. I'm going to blame it on the weather instead of taking responsibility for it. It's because it's cloudy out. And I'm an Aries, which I'm not. But that's why. You know us Geminis, which I'm not. I like when people blame the stars for their stupid behavior. I know I cheated, but I'm a Libra. You're also a cheater. Oh, let's talk about that really quickly. I know we're talking about relationships, and we're talking about give and take and equal, but I had a conversation yesterday with this girl named Scarf Girl that I met at the bar a long time ago, and I thought she had a paisley scarf on, so I was calling her Scarf Girl. I come to find out it wasn't really paisley. She just got sick on herself. Gross. So Scarf Girl is a Facebook friend of mine, and she's been having fun getting rid of an ex. And I remember he broke up with her when she was pregnant, and then they got back together, and they broke up again just recently. And she, she's doing the old, I'm free kind of thing on Facebook. I don't need a man kind of thing. So I saw her last night, and I was sitting on a deck talking to her, and she was telling me all this bad stuff he did. And then in the same breath, she said, yeah, but he's a good guy. And I said, no, he's not. He's a horrible person. He treated you like crap. Yeah, but he's a good guy. I'm like, no, he's not. She said, yeah, but if you disregard those things that he did to me, he's a good guy. I'm like, you can't disregard those things. That's like saying if it wasn't for the cannibalism, Jeffrey Dahmer was a great guy. Yes, but he ate people. We're so quick to disregard the things like, oh, he's a good guy, even though he treated me like crap and broke up with me when I was pregnant. Happy wife, happy life. Not in this case. I'll see you later. He came back, though. Only to leave again. Yeah, but if you don't look at that, disregard the fact that he locked me in the basement, he's a good guy. Okay. Way to see only the best in people. Now, if I was your best friend, I would say, knock it off. I wouldn't say I love you no matter what. But relationships can be tricky. And there's some other things I'd like to talk about why I'm single. I mean, besides the fact that I'm kind of a jerk, and besides the fact that I don't like daily maintenance. See, that's my biggest problem. Daily maintenance of a relationship. I wish there was a thing I call part-time relationships. I mean, we're loyal to each other, and we don't sleep with other people, and we like each other a whole lot, and there's love there, and there's kindness and all that. But you don't freak out if I don't call you every day. That daily maintenance, just because I don't call you doesn't mean the relationship's over. It doesn't. Well, do you need to talk to me every day? I think people do. And it's unfair. See, and that's why when I go into a relationship, I try to explain this stuff, and people accept it. Oh, yeah, no, I get it. I can't believe he didn't call me. Get him. Blah. And that usually happens. They agree to ridiculous terms and then change the terms. I understand that most people need daily maintenance of a relationship. Just because I don't call you on Tuesday doesn't mean I'm not thinking about you. Unfortunately, I have that comic brain where I'm inside my own head creating stuff and working out and doing my daily thing, which is weird because you have your daily thing too. And maybe that's something I need to look into. Why do some people, well, I think it's okay that some people that need this. Some people need daily reassurance. And that's cool. But I don't think I'm one of those people. So trying to team up with someone who needs daily reassurance is going to end in a fiery, awful mess. But if you're one of those people, you should say you're one of these people. If you're an elephant, tell me you're an elephant. Don't say you're a giraffe. And then have me surprised later when I find out you're really an elephant. Just tell me you're an elephant. And then I can make the decision if I want to date an elephant. At the time, I'm looking for giraffes. Yes, I'm a giraffe. That's what I do. And then suddenly you're picking up water with your trunk and standing on a ball. You're in the circus. So I just think it's interesting that people will lie to other people or not tell whole truths to people only to find out they're completely different than... You don't have to sell me on something. Just be who you are. I know I do it right from the get-go. That's probably why I don't get a lot of second dates. I do wish there was a thing called part-time dating. I thought that was called dating, but it's not. Now, if you're dating somebody, you need to... You're dating them like a relationship. You have to show up every day and tell them how pretty they are all the time. Or they go find someone who will. Somebody who will leave them when they're pregnant. And after all this, after this entire podcast, if you're still wondering why I'm single, there's got to be something wrong with you. Because you know why? You know now. This is why. Any questions and or comments? funnyfeelings@scottysays.com or find me official Scotty Gunther online or on Twitter, which I don't use, @Scotty Gunther. Are you single? Do you know why you're single? Is it everybody else's fault? Or is it something that you do? Send it to me. I'd love to read it. And maybe I can use it on next week's show and send you a T-shirt. No, I'm not going to send you a T-shirt. Maybe you should get a keychain. Nope, I'm just going to provide quality entertainment. Okay, I'm just going to provide this. That's it. Bye-bye.
I got fun, funny feelings. Da, 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 da. I got fun, funny feelings. Da, 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 da. I got love, I got light. And funny feelings. I got love, I got light, and da 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 da, and da 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 da, and fun.
Bruce Jenner is now a beautiful woman named Caitlyn. Okay, I can dress like a dinosaur. That doesn't make me a T-Rex.
I got fun, funny feelings. Da 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 da. I got fun, funny feelings. Da 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 da. I got love, I got light, and funny feelings. I got love, I got light, and da 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 da, and da 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 da.
Hi, I'm Scotty. This is Funny Feelings. And I've come to find out that if I have an opinion that's different than yours, or I don't think the same way as you, I'm insensitive, or I lack compassion, or I'm full of hate. Do I sound like I'm full of hate? He's full of hate because he doesn't think like me. Wow. Hold on. Today's show is brought to you by the Coworkers Challenge. To find us in team building and stress relief, check out the coworkerschallenge.com or scottysays.com. My voice is a little scratchy today. I would apologize, but I didn't do this on purpose, so there's nothing to be sorry for. So much to talk about. I want to talk about things that make us crazy. There's so many things that make us crazy. And we're just going to hit this and go because I have 50 things I want to talk about in a very short period of time. Number one, let's talk about different points of view. I remember the good old days when somebody could not agree with you and you would say, well, they don't think the same way as me, but that's okay. I still like them as a person. Nowadays, if somebody doesn't have the exact same view about everything as you do, you dismiss them. They're full of hate. They're a jerk. They're insensitive. Blah, 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 blah. Let's get them. Let's destroy them. Let's get them fired from their job. And I love the idea when people say, like they try to explain something to you and you say, well, I don't agree with that. They go, well, you just don't understand. No, I understand. I just don't agree with you. Well, you're full of hate. No, I'm not full of hate. And I understand the concept. I just don't agree with that. Well, you're ignorant. No, I'm not full of hate. I understand the concept. And I get it. I just don't agree with you. Well, I have no place in my head or my heart for someone like you. Okay. Wow. So you only want to surround yourself around people that say, yup, I agree too. Yup. That's insane. How do you grow? How do you learn if you're around a bunch of zombie-headed robot people that are going, I agree with everything that you say? How are you challenged in any way? You're not. So that's dumb. You just don't understand. Number two. I want to talk about the mind-body connection. And I want to talk about the fact that a lot of people are very careless with their thoughts. I see it on Facebook. They'll say stuff like, can my life get any worse? Yes, it can. And it's going to be worse because you're thinking it's going to get worse. Now, I know a lot of people think that when you think that's like metaphysical mumbo-jumbo, they don't see the mind-body connection, or they say it, but they don't actually practice it. And I know you're already probably thinking, wow, this is kind of metaphysical and this is kind of deep and he's getting a little spiritual. No, listen. If I told you after you were done eating that 5 people got sick on the same food that you just ate, there's a pretty good chance you're going to get nauseous, you're going to feel sick, and you could puke up your lunch. All based on what? On what you believe, on what you think, on your mind-body connection. The second I said something, I brought up the possibility that the food that you ate is bad. So your mind caused your body to get sick. So if it can happen in that circumstance, it can happen in relationships, it can happen in work, it can happen in everything. They've proven that people, when diagnosed with an anxiety or a panic disorder, they start showing more symptoms of anxiety. Why? Because the brain says, hey, we have anxiety. Time to get it, body. And the body goes, cool, I got it. Time to freak out. And it causes panic attacks. I think it's interesting how we all relate by our illnesses nowadays or our disorders. It used to be we related by our strengths or our powers or, wow, I want to be like you someday. Now it's screw you. I have anxiety or I have all these things. And that's how we relate. I did a show just the other day. I did a coworkers challenge show. And after the show, a guy came up to me and he goes, hey, I had fun. I came up and participated. And I got to be honest with you, it was a little hard at first because I have a mild, undiagnosed form of autism called Asperger's. Now, it's undiagnosed, but I really believe that, well, it's not real. You diagnosed yourself. You don't have Asperger's. No, I read it online and it said all the things that I feel or I think, so I must have that. Really? So based on that, in the 80s, I was black because I was a break dancer and I wore sweatpants. And so based on the information, I was African American. No, you weren't. You don't have Asperger's, but it makes him feel... See, that's weird that people feel like they have purpose or they have some kind of direction or some kind of explanation for their... How about you just face the fact that you don't necessarily like to be up in front of people? That's fine. I know me personally, if you would have told me 15 years ago that I was going to be going to people's parties or going to events or banquets and standing in front of them for an hour to an hour and a half and making everyone laugh, I would have said, you're crazy, because I'm pretty antisocial. I'll go to bars and kind of stand there and watch other people. I wish I could like make some kind of like cloak or some kind of bubble that nobody could see me in, or I could be protected and stand in a bubble and then watch everybody else. But the problem is people would, try to talk to the boy in the bubble. Please do not talk to the boy in the bubble. Thank you. So I understand, but I don't diagnose myself with illnesses so I have some kind of explanation. I'm just weird, and you can accept the fact that you're weird too. It's okay. And is it really weird to feel strange about going up in front of people? Of course not. Some people fear public speaking more than they fear death. I don't. But some people do. So to say, well, I must have autism, you don't. If it's undiagnosed and you're telling people that it's I like when people say, I have self-diagnosed. I have self-diagnosed anxiety. Well, so you just decided that you get anxious? We all get anxious until we face our problems. I have social anxiety when it comes to relationships because I have to sit there and talk to somebody, and I hate the small talk. I'm great at big talk. I love getting deep and into things. But if you had to say, so do you like the Tigers? No. So do you like sports? No. What about the weather? Yeah, who cares about the weather? See, and you're an ass. You're a jerk. No, I'm just really bad at small talk. I love big talk. You want to sit there and talk about the meaning of life? Cool, let's discuss it. I know neither of us know. Probably the meaning of my life is different than the meaning of your life, but that's okay. But going back to number one, you can't try to make the meaning of your life the meaning of my life, which a lot of people do. They try to force someone else into trying to have the same meaning, and everybody's meaning is different. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. You have fear and anxiety? I have fear and anxiety. But back to the mind-body connection. What we think is what we are. And people will disagree with that, and they'll say that's metaphysical mumbo-jumbo, but it's true. If you're sitting in a car and you see a flashy light, it's a cop car, you're afraid, you thought you did something wrong, your heart speeds up. It's fight or flight. It's an evolutionary thing that means you run away or you defend yourself or you die. Well, nowadays there's not a lot of, well, unless you're in Chicago or some major cities, Baltimore, there could be a reason for you to still have that instinct. But sitting in your car, the lights flash, you get scared, your body changes. Why does your body change? It's not real. There's no panic. It's just flashy, flashy lights. It's because the mind tells the body to react, and it does that in relationships. See, so I got to be careful when people say, trust your gut. Trust your gut. Trust your mind first and then your gut. Your gut will lie to you. Your gut will make you sick when you think someone's stepping out on you. And you could create that all in your head. Or you could be dating a loser and he is or she is stepping out on you. But this thing is not metaphysical. Your mind can make you sick. So we have to think better. We don't think better. We don't think good. We think bad thoughts all the time. We relate to each other about our illnesses and not our strengths. All right, that's number 2. That was pretty interesting, huh? All right, number 3. Oh, I wrote down everybody wants to feel bad. I think we've talked about that before. Where all we do is look at sad things and surround ourselves around sad things and see bad things and then say, well, I want to be happy, but it takes you back to the mind-body connection. If all you see is bad things and sad things and devastation and news stories about all the bad things in life, you're going to feel bad. I recently went through my Facebook page and started unfollowing on my news feed all the stories and all the local news and all the people with agendas. Just because if every day I wake up and see stories about heroin abusers that kicked a dog in a closed school and someone who tried to drug a girl and all this bad stuff, and I know people want to make a difference in this world. They want to change the world. They think that by being an activist, everybody's an activist. Have you noticed that? But nobody's taking care of their own business. They only activize like other people's businesses. They run around going, I think it's wrong for you to persecute people. Yeah, that has nothing to do with you. Take care of your own little business or your own thing, and no one would have to help you. But we're too busy with our eyes on everybody else's business. So I went down and started deleting all the news stories and getting rid of all the news because, honestly, every day I started feeling bad. And then you go in and you turn on political radio and it's talking about how the economy is terrible and the earth is terrible and the people are terrible and everything is terrible. And then you get wrapped up and bound up.
Yes, I know. I let that run an extra 20 seconds. I'm an asshole. Yes, I am. But hey, it's over now. Oh, that's just too much fun. Yes, it is. Well, hey. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it may be to you. To us right here at HTLA Studio 2, it's 3 p.m. Eastern, and it's time. Thank God. Oh, yes, thank the gods. For your coffee and cigarettes, your Thursday double. Yes, for the 18th of June, 2015, right here, happening now live. And it's a good show. I've got a good show today. Yes, I do. I've thrown it together. I've painstakingly gone forensically over all of the news of the day, and I'm going to bring you the absolute best. That's right. Unlike Artie there in the last show, he's bringing something, but we don't know what it is. Well, hey, today on the big show, we've got the Charleston news aplenty today. Yes, a suspect in Charleston church rampage. Well, he has been captured in North Carolina. As Mourning in Charleston goes on, Obama calls for stricter gun laws. Yeah, that'll do it. Also today, we'll tell you about the half-dozen major cases awaiting Supreme Court rulings, and, of course, Pope Francis spares few in his tough love demands to save the planet. Yeah, I didn't know he cared. Well, some good news today, too. Yes, the Mayo Clinic's research is looking at turning off cancer's growth in your DNA. It's about time they started on that. The scientific proof has been around since 1998. We've also got the story about the Army lab, which lacks, well, effective anthrax-killing procedures for the last 10 years. And all that and so much more today, so hey, come on in and grab a cup, have a seat, and light one up, gang. It's Sharon's favorite show, Coffee Time. It is coffee time indeed in the city and, well, everywhere else for that matter, because, hey, it's 3 p.m. always somewhere, isn't it? Well, yeah, of course, sometimes it's 700 nautical miles out in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean on a deserted island somewhere that nobody knows about, but we won't go there because, of course, they don't have a computer and can't hear me. Right. Well, hey, welcome to the show today, your coffee and cigarettes, and I got to say, you know, if you want to be one of the cool cats, head on over to Spreaker.com, look up HTLA Radio 1 New York, get in the chat room there, it's live, it's right now. Devlon Crawford, HTLA's #1 fan, is in there, and she's still trying to get over the previous broadcast. She, I don't know, Dev, I don't know, he could be the one for you. You know, he is single, right? Yes, he's so single. In fact, he has an entire podcast about being single over and over again. I can give you the link, too. I'll share that in the Spreaker.com chat room for you. You can go over and follow him and get every one of those lovely shows, because, man, I'm telling you, if you want to talk about the quality of shows on that platform. Yeah, HTLA is number one. Everybody else sucks so much, Bobo. It's not even funny, but I got to get on with my show here because we are not only New York's best talk, but the most professional entity you will find anywhere for free. Yes, we are. Well, in the booth today, pushing the buttons for the old show here today is the one, the only former social media goddess herself, the one, the only Jenny McCartney, pushing the buttons on that PreSonus 2442 digital mixer. Yes, she is. Pushing them. Look at her push. She's getting all sweaty in there. Never mind. I'll stand down. Or, I'm 47. It's not up. So there she is. And, of course, if you're into anything in regards to audio, whether digital or analog, you probably already know. But if you don't, head on over to PreSonus.com. And also today, the show is brought to you by the fine folks at Tim Hortons in New York City, now with those 8 fine locations in the city to serve all your coffee and baked goods needs. And, of course, we always have a pot of it on here at HTLA Studio 2. There you go. Here's another one of those coffee sighs. Yes, brought to you by Timmy's, where it's always fresh, gang. Check it out. Well, hey, it's a heck of a good show. Can you believe it? 18th of June already. Yeah, pretty soon we're going to be digging out 6 feet of snow all around the car again. What is it now? Like 30 days out? Well, something like that. But we can't look to things like that. That's negative. It's not good. And speaking of negative and not good, yes, it's time to introduce our guest/co-hosts. Joining us first, of course, via satellite, because that's how he likes us to say it, is the one, the only Louis Lawless, formerly of LDL Films and Stephen J. Cannell Productions. You may remember Stephen J. Cannell Productions from such hit television series as The A-Team, Riptide, and heck, I even think they worked a little bit on Magnum P.I. there. Yes, they did. Well, he is here, I believe. Are you here?
Always with a female and having a relationship, married or single, it's always better that they do the leaving. If you do the leaving, it keeps that lingering thing. You know what I mean?
Well, so we've gone from one dating advice show, I guess, to another one now. I guess that's what we're doing.
Wait a minute, I got lost. HTLA. Oh, HTLA.
Right. Yes, HTLA. You've got it. You're all over it, Louis. Thank you.
Oh, can we cuss? Can I cuss as I always do on the show?
Yeah, again, we've got you covered, and Jenny is on the button there with the thumbs up. Yes, from the booth right now. You're good to go.
It's about fucking time. Move on.
All right. Well, moving on today, about 8 blocks down the street from HTLA Studio 2 here in downtown Manhattan. Of course, we have the one, the only, coming to us via telephone, of course, because he doesn't care about the bloody satellite. Yes, there he is. The one, the only Gilbert Gottfried, sir. Thank you for being here.
What the fuck? I'm ready.
Yeah, you're ready. I'm ready. Everybody's ready to go here, so we should probably...
Same thing.
Yeah, well, we should get going. So you're feeling good. Do you got anything to say to the fine folks before we roll?
And this is... I that up.
Okay. Never mind. Yeah. Right. So good to have you here.
Yes.
Thank you both for joining us today. And, we're rolling still with just the 2 guests/co-hosts because, to be honest, it's been hard to find a white replacement. Well, you know what we could do? We could actually maybe, I don't know, we'll get Devlon to come in and host a Monday. We get Sharon to come in and co-host a Tuesday, that kind of thing. Maybe, God, wrap up the week with, like, Pauly B and shoot some shit. Yeah. In any regard, it would be so much better than any of the black alternatives.
Yes.
Right? That's it. So there you go.
I think it should be short and sweet.
Okay. Yes, we'll do that. All right. Well, let's move on with the big show today. We got lots to cover, of course, and, I guess we're going to start off with the not-so-damned, happy news at all. Yeah. Yeah, we won't call this one happy news. Well, the suspect in Charleston church rampage has been captured, of course, in North Carolina. Yeah, bad deal here. Dylan Storm Roof, who reportedly got a new handgun for his 21st birthday back in April, was captured in North Carolina Thursday, just 14 hours after he allegedly shot and killed 9 people in a historic black church in downtown Charleston during a Bible study meeting. There's a real man. Let's see him go into the Banditos clubhouse and try pulling that stuff. Well, Charles Police Chief Gregory Mullen said Roof was cooperative when police in Shelby, North Carolina, acting on a tip, took him into custody 245 miles northwest of Charleston. Roof had been identified as the lone gunman within hours of the bloody attack at the Emmanuel AME Church around 9 p.m. on Wednesday. Asked if authorities believe Roof had acted alone, Mullen said, "We don't have any reason to believe anyone else was involved." The cold-blooded killer walked into the church and sat with the Bible group for about an hour before pulling out a semi-automatic handgun, firing, reloading, and firing again. Oh yeah, that's hilarious, you little prick.
Yes.
Well, among the dead, 3 men and 6 women, as was the pastor of the church, 41-year-old Clementa Pinkey, who was also South Carolina State Senator at South Carolina State House Thursday. A black drape and red rose were put over his desk. Flags in the state are flying at half-staff because of the tragedy. One of the victims died after being taken to the hospital. 3 people did survive, police said. Sylvia Johnson, Pickney's cousin, said one of the survivors told her that the gunman reloaded 5 times during the ordeal.
Yeah.
5 times. And nobody thought to throw a Bible at him? Well, at one point, members of the group tried to get him to stop, Johnson told WIS News. He said, "I have to do it. You rape your women and you're taking over our country. You have to go," she said. Maybe he thought he was at a mosque. Well, Dot Scott, president of the Charleston NAACP, here we go. No, I'm not going to say it. Yes, Dot Scott, president of the Charleston NAACP, said the gunman apparently allowed one woman to live so that she could tell others what happened inside the church. Yeah, way to rip off a movie. President Obama, of course, yes, he's coming up in our next piece.
Yes.
Yes. He addressed the nation, expressing sorrow for the tragedy at, quote, "a sacred place in the history of Charleston, the history of America." What an ass. Yeah, yes, right. Now all of a sudden, because of this tragedy, this tiny little black church in Carolina, that's the history of America right there. It's gone. Well, Obama, who said he knew Pinkey, said that the country must eventually address the issue of gun violence. Why? Seems like we're having too much fun. Well, he went on to say, "I've had to make this statement too many times," adding, "People were killed because someone who wanted to do harm had no trouble getting a gun." I don't know, Prez. I'm sure he would have gone in there with a bat or a knife or, you know. Well, I mean, think about it, Gilbert. If you've made up your mind to kill a bunch of black people,
yes,
okay, you're going to do it.
Yes.
Hell, I've had times before when I've been mad enough to just go out and kill every black person I see, and you know, I when I'm not around guns, I'll go get a spoon. I'll do that. You know, I'll do that.
They get crazy because all of a sudden nobody loves them.
Well, yeah, it could be that too, Louis, although, somebody did give him that gun for his 21st birthday, so somebody loves him. Well, within a few hours of the shooting, police were circulating surveillance photos taken outside the church that showed a suspect in a gray sweatsuit and boots and sporting a bowl haircut. He was seen parking his black four-door sedan and walking into the church. Acting on tips from the public, police quickly identified the suspect as Roof from the Columbia and Lexington area. A Facebook page, thank you very much, for Dylan Roof includes a photo of him standing in front of a swamp forest wearing a jacket with patches of the racist area flags. Oh, yeah, this is part of that Texas thing to get rid of the rebel flag. That's what this is. No, I'm dead serious because, of course, in Texas now that the government's actually banned. You used to be able to get the Texas license plates with the rebel flag. Well, they've banned that now. And now, isn't this interesting? This little story here. Oh, he's wearing the racist era flag. Yes. And, of course, flags of apartheid South Africa and of Rhodesia, and once white-ruled country now called Zimbabwe. Well, there's another once white-ruled country. It's called America. Well, Mark Pitcavage, Director of Investigative Research at the Anti-Defamation League, said the patches could provide clues as to his ideological views. They could also provide clues to just a fun little weekend he had with his racist friends. You go to one of those Grand Dragon parties, you can buy those patches.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, no one randomly puts those particular images on clothing or Facebook profiles, says Pitcavage. That implies intent in a particular worldview. This is not someone simply motivated by hate, but may have been motivated by a particular ideology as well. Well, I would submit to the court. If you want to go along those lines, he could have just liked Hitler's mustache too. Community organizer Christopher Carson said that he felt that the certain shootings were racially motivated. I'm very tired of people telling me that I don't have the right to be angry, Carson says. I am very angry right now. Well, you go ahead and be angry, Carson, but don't you dare offend anybody doing it. Lexington County, South Carolina court records show Roof was arrested back on March 2nd on criminal possession of a controlled substance. The records indicate that it may be the first offense he ever had. The case is still pending. He was also jailed on April 26th on a trespassing charge. The suspect's uncle, Carson Cowles, 56, tells us that he recognized the young man in the surveillance photo as his nephew. Cowles said Roof was given a gun by his father on his 21st birthday as a present in April. See, you're wrong, Louis. His dad loved him.
Yes.
Well, the incident shook the normally peaceful community that is a magnet for tourists, particularly in the summer. No one in this community will forget this for this night, says Mullen, who called the killings a hate crime. In Washington, the Justice Department said its Civil Rights Division, the FBI, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of South Carolina are opening a hate crime investigation into the shooting. Mayor Joseph Riley called the killings the most unspeakable and heartbreaking tragedy he can recall. The only reason that someone would walk into a church and shoot people praying is out of hate, Riley said. Well, it could have been, road rage from parking problems. I can see that.
Yes.
I've been downtown, of course. You try and go park somewhere,
yes.
and well, not necessarily some religious thing. It could be really anything.
Yes.
But you get down there and this is great. I can't park to go into Timmy's and get my coffee because these assholes are having a prayer. Okay, well, I've thought about, hey, wouldn't it be fun to go in there with my zombie AR-15 from Wilson Combat? Yeah. Sure, I think about those things.
Yes.
But I don't actually do them. No. So I would submit there, Mayor, the only reason that somebody would walk into a church, no, there's other reasons.
Yes.
Yeah? You say it's one hateful person. It could be that he just couldn't get his coffee. All right? And that's a fact, Jack.
Yes.
I'm sorry. You want to label that a hate crime against black. It could just be a love crime against coffee. There you go. And I think pretty much for sure that myself, Gilbert,
yes.
Louie, and all the listeners of this show would absolutely do the same thing given the same circumstances. Yeah. Well, the church is a historic African-American church that traces its roots back to 1816 when several churches split from Charleston's Methodist Episcopal Church. Pickney, the slain pastor, was a married father of two who has elected to the state house at age 23, making him the youngest member of the house at the time. He never had anything bad to say about anybody, even when I thought he should, says Rutherford, a Democrat from Columbia. He was always out doing work, either with his parishioners or his constituents. He touched everybody. I bet he did. Yes. There's a lot of folks who love Cory Booker, too.
Yes.
Yes. Well, Emmanuel is the oldest AME church in the South and has one of the oldest and largest black congregations south of Baltimore, according to its website. Denmark Vesey, executed for attempting to organize a major slave rebellion in 1822, was one of the church's founders. Well, with history like that, that could have been a motivating factor, too. Well, Police Chief Mullen says this is a tragedy that no community should have to experience. It is senseless. It is unfathomable that someone will walk into a church when people are having a prayer meeting and take their lives. Well, I guess he's never had that coffee inkling. Pickney was a native of Beaufort, South Carolina, and graduated magna cum laude from Allen University in 1995. He received a Master's of Divinity degree from Lutheran Theological Southern Seminary and a Master's degree in Public Administration from the University of South Carolina. He was elected to the South Carolina House in 1996 when he was only 23, and he was elected to the state Senate in 2000 when I guess... 96, 2000. We got to do the math here. How the hell old was he? Yeah. So that's the Charleston update right there. And actually now 8 victims have been named, including the part-time pastor. Among the 9 dead at Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal, I'm just going to say AME. In Charleston was Reverend Sharonda Coleman Singleton, a part-time pastor to the congregation, according to local media and family members posting on, of course, yes, we get all our sources from social media. She was slain along with the church's chief pastor, Reverend Clementa Pinkey, and 7 others on Wednesday night by that lone gunman, yada, yada, yada. Let's go through all the info again. Thanks for the update, Bob. Oh, and something that's not actually on the docket for today,
yes,
but I thought was kind of interesting, and I wanted to pass along to the listeners, is that, of course, there has been a verdict from NBC now about Brian Williams.
Yes.
Yeah. He's not being fired. He's not being let go. He's being reassigned. They've made him the bureau chief for the Iran NBC News. We'd like to congratulate Brian.
Yes.
And wish him all the best in the coming, weeks that you survive. Well, and of course, Obama there rearing his ugly head. Yes. President Obama renewed his call for stricter gun laws today following that shooting spree in Charleston that killed 9 people. We don't have all the facts, he says, but I'm going to start talking anyway. He says, we do know that once again innocent people were killed in part because someone who wanted to inflict harm had no trouble getting their hands on a gun or a knife or a spoon. Obama's remarks were not unlike the 13 others he's given following a mass shooting during his presidency, another mass shooting during his presidency. But this time he said the usual condolences. Well, they could not express the heartache and sadness and the anger that we feel about the overnight shooting at Emmanuel African Methodist Episcopal Church. Damn, I'm good. Yeah. Any death of this sort is a tragedy, he says. Any shooting involving multiple victims is a tragedy. Oh, like a shooting with only one is good? Huh? Yeah, I think.
My film, Unrepented, did very well in Europe.
And that was your film festival update from Louis Lawless. There you go. Well, Obama says there's something particularly heartbreaking about the death happening in a place at which we seek solace and we seek peace in a place of worship, Obama said, with Vice President Biden standing silently at his side, of course. We knew their pastor, Clementa Pinckney, and along with 8 others gathered in prayer and fellowship and was murdered last night, he said. I have to make statements like this so many times. I hate my job. Well, to that I would say, sir, don't worry, it won't be long. Yeah. Well, at least the 14th statement Obama had made following shooting is during his presidency, according to CBS Radio's Mark Knoller. Obama repeated his call for Congress to take up a gun safety legislation. Guys, every gun does have a safety. Okay? And as your Delta Force soldiers so boldly put it, holding up their index finger and bending it thusly.
Yes.
This is my safety, Mr. President. Well, he goes on to say, now is the time for mourning and for healing. But let's be clear, Obama said, before addressing the role of gun laws in mass shooting incidents. It doesn't happen in other places with this kind of frequency, and it is in our power to do something about it. I say that recognizing the politics in this town foreclose a lot of those avenues right now, but it would be wrong for us not to acknowledge it. He then turned and walked into the White House. And earlier in the day today, Obama did phone leaders in South Carolina, of course, to give his condolences. Charleston Mayor Joseph Riley and Obama called to offer his support. Riley says, I told the president that the FBI and the ATF and other federal resources, the Justice Department, have been extraordinary, Riley said. He also said, why couldn't this have happened to Rachel Dolezal? You know? Well, there you go, gang. That's the first segment wrapped up.
Yes.
We're going to go for our first commercial break now, but have no fear. Yes, we've got more Ammu-Nation commercials. Yep. Yes, and you know, it's so much better on a day like today.
Yes.
You know, just come on down and protect your right to the rebel flag and lots of bullets. There you go. But, of course, HTLA wishes to offer its condolences to the families, like we will to Brock Favors coming up shortly. And speaking of that, let's get on to those commercials. We'll be back in 2.
You've got it locked to HTLA Radio 1, New York.
What if there was a coffee that was sourced from some of the world's most renowned growing regions, abundant with rich, fertile soil? What if this coffee was picked at the perfect moment, then packed meticulously and shipped carefully to be roasted under the watchful eye of coffee masters? What if it was expertly blended, ground, and sealed, ensuring maximum flavor and freshness, then brewed in small batches and always served fresh within 20 minutes, just the way you like it? Now, what if this coffee just happened to be the coffee you already know and love? Tim Hortons, always fresh, always great tasting coffee.
Man, I've been to a lot of places over these past 50 years. Seen the whole true north strong and free. 'Cause I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere. I've been to Cooksville, Stouffville, Bainesville, Bowmanville, Bonnieville, Unionville, Oakville, Dunville, Brockville, Boucherville, Melville, Drummondville, Kentville, Grenville, Morinville, Maryville, Parksville, Stephenville, Sackville, Spring Hill, Westville, Walkerville, hanging on a windowsill. Hey! He said, wow, that's a lot of places. I said, hang on, there's more. I've been to Monton, Picton, Shannon, Vernon, Stellarton, Hamilton, Nipigon, Nobleton, Yorkton, Brighton, Bolton, Beaverton, Brandon, Edmonton, Walkerton, Wyerton, Granby, Miramichi, Charlottetown, Burnaby, Yellowknife, Whitehorse, Corner Brook, none of it. I've been everywhere, man. I've been everywhere, man. I crossed the prairies bare, man. I breathed the mountain air. I've traveled, I've done my share, man. I've been everywhere, man. Check it out. Ottawa, Wawa, Mattawa, Chippewa, Moose Jaw, Oshawa.
Some said the U.S. has lost its innovative power. We said America is lighting the way as the innovation nation. Singular insights, superior execution. That's the power of global connections. Bank of America Merrill Lynch. Voted top global research firm 2011, 12, and 13.
Excuse me, this is a supermarket. You two need to get a room.
No, we don't. Renegade.
Oh, God, you smell incredible. Maybe I'll join in.
Renegade Cologne. For the man who wants to reek of masculinity. Nobody tells a renegade what to do.
Sir, that tree is not a bathroom.
Oh, really?
Ow, not on my shoes.
Renegade. The renegade man goes where he wants. For the smell of an individual, it's Renegade.
Or instead of Renegade, try Sweat, the cologne for the animal inside. It's real sweat, because nothing attracts women like a sweaty man.
We're going to take a break. Don't touch that dial.
Too fat and lazy to come pick up a bazooka? Log on and have it at your door the next morning. Log on to ammunition.net. Try our motion-sensitive cluster bombs and shoot-to-maim automated firing gun turrets, which come ready to assemble in 284 easy parts. Ammunition.net also has a full line of generators so you can keep your fridge running and the beer cold through extended apocalypse. Need to stock up fast? The strongest will survive with our all-in-one Y2K kit featuring a tractor-trailer load of lager beer, Redwood cigarettes, and enough firepower and ammunition to level a small country. Jesus! Y2K. It's coming, and you'd better be ready. Log on to ammunition.net now. Protecting your rights online.
We're New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1.
Action and the thing with the camera.
Oh man, you know you're just all kinds of movie something. I don't know what we talk about that, but
It's not awful, but just not good.
it's. Oh man, you know.
Use power. That's why power is corrupt, and it is. We see it every day. We see it in every job. It's the same thing.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what.
Same thing.
Okay, we'll go with that. Oh man.
He was quite the skirt chaser.
No, actually, he wasn't. No, the North Carolina shooter guy. No, he looks kind of like. Well, he kind of looks like Jim Carrey in the first Dumb and Dumber. Actually.
It's just life, and I love doing it. I love doing these kind of stories anyway.
Oh, yeah. Anytime there's, a number of black people killed, yeah.
About fucking time. Move on.
Oh, yeah. You think you can say something like that and just skirt along the issue, yeah? That's right, folks. Look for Louis Lawless 2016.
Yes.
He's going to be running mate to Donald Trump. Yeah. Welcome back to the big show today. Your coffee and cigarettes. 68 degrees in New York Central Park right now under cloudy skies. It's not too bad, but I guess it's also not too good. I don't know what you'd call that. Gilbert, give us some more of that Scent of a Woman. That was just gold.
So, and here's Irving Villagers in Scent of a Woman.
Oh, yes. Timed perfectly with the music. Yes. Well, moving on today, we got a lot of stuff to cover, so I should quit effing around.
Yes.
Yes. I'll just stop doing that now.
Let's fight Hitler!
Yeah, or we could do that. Yeah. Well, we've got some serious news here to cover now, not like that last story, which was all fun and games. Yeah, it's nothing quite like 9 dead black folk to get the day off to a roll. Yeah. Well, a half dozen major cases are awaiting the Supreme Court rulings. Yes, Washington today. Issues like the future of same-sex marriage and President Obama's health care law hang in the balance, of course, as Supreme Court's 2014 term draws rapidly to a close this month. But those aren't the only big issues on the justices' plate. Fair elections, racial discrimination, clean air, capital punishment all await rulings over the next 2 weeks. And we're likely going to see all the judges quit tomorrow. The next decisions, of course, are slated to come Monday, so you can expect they're going to be out of there for Friday.
Yes.
With major cases on, well, license plates, like I was telling you about.
Yes.
And, of course, religious signs decided Thursday, along with 4 others. Here are 6 big opinions still worth watching. Number 1, numero uno on the hit parade, same-sex marriage. Oh, yes, June 29th or 30th. Yes, a decision likely to come on the term's last day. The court will decide whether gays and lesbians have a constitutional right to do the heterosexual marriage thing. Yeah, 6 separate cases from Ohio, Michigan, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Well, that's only 4. Well, they've been consolidated for the court's consideration, apparently. Yes, in them, 32 different plaintiffs are asking for the right to marry or have marriages licensed where recognized in their home states. Most legal experts predict that the court led by Justice Anthony Kennedy will rule in favor of gay and lesbian couples. But he adds the disclaimer, he could be wrong. Second up on their old docket, of course, is Obamacare. The future of President Obama's health care law is on the line for the second time in 3 years, and it's anyone's guess how the court will rule because nobody can really make sense of the website. Well, it was originally passed back in 2010 and narrowly upheld by the court in a 5-4 ruling in 2012. The law has extended health insurance to apparently 12 million Mexicans. But 4 words in its lengthy text, quote, established by the state, now endanger federal subsidies relied upon by 6.4 million Mexicans. In, of course, 34 states that did not create their own exchanges or marketplaces, the justices must decide whether the law prohibits that financial aid. Third up on the list is clean air. Yes, environmental regulations approved by the Obama administration regularly come before the Supreme Court, and this year is, of course, no exception. A major rule requiring coal and oil-fired power plants to reduce their emissions of mercury and other toxic air pollutants, of course, hang in the balance. The justices appeared closely divided on the central issue in the case, whether those companies will pay them. Actually, no, it's whether the Environmental Protection Agency should have considered the nearly $10 billion annual cost in relation to the potential benefits before approving the regulation. When it was argued originally, a decision in favor of objecting states and utilities could send the EPA back to the drawing board. It all hangs in the balance. Yeah. And, of course, a fourth up today on their list is housing discrimination. The third time could be the charm for the court's conservatives, who have tried twice in recent years to consider cases challenging the way housing bias claims are decided. Under the Fair Housing Act of 1968, minority groups have been able to win lawsuits by showing that housing practices such as sales, rentals, zoning, and lending have a disparate impact on minorities. Or a disparate. Yeah. Not so much with the desperation. Yeah. That was all me. Such as sales, rental, zoning, and lending have all had a disparate impact on minorities. Housing industry opponents challenging the law say it was intended only to ban intentional discrimination, not the accidental stuff. And fifth up, of course, is lethal injections. The death penalty is also never far from the High Court's docket. After a steady diet of cases and emergency appeals on issues such as claimed intellectual disabilities and the actions of defense lawyers and prosecutors, the court now must rule on a relatively new method of execution. The case involves the use of a sedative called midazolam. It's part of a 3-drug cocktail used by several states, including Oklahoma, where 3 death row inmates are challenging its use. Wouldn't a death row inmate challenge any form of execution? Wouldn't... Well, unlike stronger barbiturates that are short in supply, the drug has failed in some cases to block pain and suffering during the lethal injection process. Boo-hoo, cry me a river. Yes, and finally on the docket that we're all waiting eagerly for the little answer to, yes, is the, of course, political maps. In the second case to reach the court this year on political redistricting, the justices must decide whether nonpartisan commissions can replace state legislators in drawing congressional district maps every 10 years. I like to do it on weekends when I'm bored. Well, those commissions are used in several states, 7 to be exact, including California, to take the redistricting process out of the hands of politicians with a vested interest. But the Arizona State Legislature Republican majority argued that the Constitution gives that power solely to state legislators. A majority of the court's justices appeared to agree during oral arguments, but now they're into the anal phase. There you go. Well, now we're getting into it now.
Yes.
It's the serious stuff. You thought today's first story was serious?
Yes.
Well, it and the second and third, of course, don't hold a candle to our fourth today, which is Pope Francis sparing few in a tough love commentary to save the planet. Yes, and who the hell knows even why he's talking? I don't know. What the hell has the Catholic Church got to do with anything? And for that matter, what do these old geezers that they throw on top of the throne have to do with anything? Well, I don't understand it, but here it is nonetheless.
Yes.
Arguably, this is good. Arguably the most popular figure on the planet. Yeah, have you ever heard of Mick Jagger? Douchebags? Really? Mick Jagger, hell, Madonna, Lady Gaga, come on. Really, the most popular figure on the planet. Well, you know what? Here's what I say to that. So am I. Yeah. Oh, screw that. Apocalypse.
Yes.
You know, when Apocalypse talks, people listen. There you go. And, of course, he's saying right now, political redistricting is on LSD.
Yes.
So, see, that's what I mean. He knows. He's the enlightened one. Follow the word of the Apocalypse. Yes. Get his Bible now on Amazon.com.
give me any help for $25,000.
No, but Apocalypse will soon. He's going to be getting those offerings. Yes, the Church of Apocalypse. Look for it to take up the building now in North Carolina there. Yeah. It's gonna... Well, you can't tell me they're going to worship there anymore.
Yes.
You know, the building is going to be up for lease, and what better place to start? The Church of Apocalypse. That's what I say. Yeah, so arguably the most popular figure on the planet takes an ocean of admirers to task over ecological plunder in a long-awaited climate encyclical released Thursday. Yes, Pope Francis makes his case for combating global warming. How the hell's the religious dude going to have a clue about a science problem? How is he possibly going to...
Everything that could go wrong goes wrong. Yeah.
Well, it certainly will here. Yes, he gives the environmental community everything it hoped for. A swift dismissal of Denier claims that the Earth is warming. Oh, so it just doesn't exist. Head in the sand. Well, I mean, I guess that is one sure goddamn way to deal with it.
Yes.
Yep. No, it doesn't exist. It's not there. Oh, yeah, of course. Along with, of course, conflictingly, an embrace of science, showing how the planet is suffering and humans are largely at fault. Okay, so he agrees with the scientist but denies the existence. Well, then I would submit that the arguably most incredible man in the world. Wait a minute. Doesn't that guy sell beer?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah, he doesn't know what he's doing here. The trained chemist says he's convinced, based on the best scientific research available today, in that global warming, rising seas, and likely fallout of extreme weather events are happening. Yes, he sees fish, depleted seas, barren coral reefs, and thousands of plant and animal species disappearing every year because of man. He says, quote, "We have no right," Francis says. "We have no right. But we're doing it." Yes. Well, his more than 180-page encyclical, a teaching letter circulated through the Catholic Church, includes, poetry. Yes. Soil, water, mountains, everything is, as it were, a caress of God. There is mystical meaning to be found in a leaf, in a mountain trail, in a dewdrop, in a person's face. There is also brutal observation. The earth, our home, is beginning to look more and more like the immense pile of filth. I'm sure soon we will be able to get the Pope's book at Amazon.com. Yes. Well, the core of this lunatic's message...
Yes.
is, of course, a toughly worded warning about human behavior that the pontiff says is bringing planet Earth to ecological despair. Francis places blame not just with the global warming deniers, the powerful opposition, but with many faithful who are either indifferent, resigned, or foolishly await technology to solve everything. Only the world's poor escape papal wrath. He singles them out as, quote, excluded, an afterthought. In international political and economic discussions, they are the least culpable for creating the problem, yet suffer the most from the consequences when all is said and done. They frequently remain at the bottom of the pile. Yeah, well, yeah, okay. So Donald Trump's got more money than you. What's your problem? Well, the strongest criticism hits with developed world's throwaway culture. Yes, I'm sure he's talking about us.
Yes.
Yes, a consumerism, a digital landscape of internet connections where, oh, come on, everybody knows the Vatican owns the internet. Shut up. Yes, internet connections where relationships come and go at whim and people live isolated and out of touch with the pain and suffering of others. Well, hey, everybody, let's all hop in the Scooby van and go down to a hospital and watch people die. Oh, wait, something just occurred to me. That's what the Pope does. That's his job.
Yes.
Well, sitting around hospitals and hospices watching people die all day long, no wonder he's bitter. Well, it leaves so many displaced from learning how to live wisely, he says, to think deeply and love generously. Well, I don't know. I've been to some porn sites that love pretty generously. Yeah. Yeah, I would challenge the Pope to beat some of that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Addressing human social degradation. Oh, okay, he's going to talk about porn now. Yes, addressing human social degradation is inextricably linked to saving the planet, Francis said. Nobody is suggesting a return to the Stone Age, he says, but we do need to slow down and look at reality in a different way to appropriate the positive and sustainable progress which has been made, but also to recover the values and the great goals swept away by our unrestrained delusions of grandeur. Can you kind of tell from this that the Roman Catholic membership is down this year? Yeah?
They get crazy because all of a sudden nobody loves them.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what he's doing here.
Yes.
But we do need to slow down and look at reality in a different way. He is unafraid to touch the third rail of economic growth, arguing that developed countries need to, quote, accept decreased growth because backwards is a direction too. Wow, he goes on. I think he was drunk when he wrote this part.
Yes.
Because the world's resources are not limitless, that view puts him at odds with politicians around the world who oppose tough measures to combat global warming as economy-jolting job killers. Well, here's the thing. He's not supposed to be dealing with politicians of the world. Well, he's just not. He's a religious leader.
Yes.
For the frickin' Roman Catholics.
Yes.
Whose membership is way down. I think there's like 50 or 60 left in Italy. Maybe 200 or 300 in Spain. Yeah, but why the hell does he think he gets an audience with like world leaders and stuff? Next, you're going to see Jerry Falwell want to get in with presidents. Oh, it's a raw and radical thinking that led even U.S. bishops to caution at a news conference today that it will require time to unpack the encyclical and take it all in. Well, I would suggest you get some Mexican red hair and smoke up first. And of course, Francis sees time as the enemy. The use of highly polluting fossil fuels, especially coal, but also oil and to a lesser degree gas, needs to be progressively replaced without delay, he says. And he knows Jesus, so he knows. His strategy appears to be to get out in front of the international climate negotiations in Paris in December. More than 190 countries will meet to agree on limiting greenhouse gases to prevent global warming from increasing 2 degrees Celsius or 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit above global temperatures at the time widespread fossil fuel burning began in the late 1800s. The Pope warns that these type of talks have too often failed in the past. It is remarkable how weak international political responses have been, he said. We believers cannot fail to ask God for a good conference. Yes, by wading forcefully into battle today, Francis may help achieve that result. And if you believe that, Apocalypse has a golden bridge in the spirit world that you can buy for $80,000. But I've done enough advertising for Apocalypse today.
Yes.
Yes, I have. So we're going to go for our second commercial break, but don't you fear, when we come back, we got some Mayo Clinic DNA news. We've got that lovely Army lab that, has been screwed for 10 years.
Yes.
Just endangering everybody, and that's what it's all about. Hey, gang, we'll be back in 2.
You've got it locked to New York's best talk, HTLA Radio 1.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop-up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
It could be 7 in the morning.
Or 10 at night.
In Chilliwack, BC.
Or St. Peters, Nova Scotia.
It could be Michelle.
Or Mark.
Or Jen.
But whenever, wherever you order that cup of Tim Hortons Premium Blend Coffee,
You know that it's always
Always.
fresh.
From Newfoundland and Labrador to Vancouver Island, Tim Hortons, a coffee all our own.
When we arrived at our hotel in New York, the porter was so incredibly careless with our bags. And the room they gave us, it was beautiful. A broom closet. But the worst part was the shower. My wife drying herself with the
Egyptian cotton towels.
Shower curtain defined that whole vacation for her. Don't just visit New York.
Visit TripAdvisor New York.
With millions of reviews, a visit to TripAdvisor makes any destination better.
It was 9 a.m. The phone rang.
Commando Pest Eradication. You saw a bug on your child's apple? Code red, boys. We got a live one.
Your home, much like the rest of the world, is infested with unwanted vermin. Commando Pest Eradication will wage war on nature, so you don't have to.
Hello, ma'am.
Thank God you're here. I saw a bug in the kitchen.
You did the right thing, ma'am. We'll take it from here. Everything's going to be okay.
Commando Pest Eradication uses only the most lethal chemicals to rid your home of unwanted life. Our team is composed of military-trained professionals that know how to take care of a messy situation fast. After successfully defoliating Vietnam, we've turned our attention to the home front. Your home front.
We've got the situation in the kitchen contained, sir. But I found this. Jesus, what the hell is this?
That's my daughter.
Looks more like Viet Cong to me.
Commando Pest Eradication. We kill everything in sight, so you feel safer. It's the war on nature, and this time, we're winning.
If only the world was less like this.
I could use a smoke.
Hey, put that out.
And more like this.
I could use a smoke.
You murderer! I might have children one day.
Smoking kills, unless you kill first. If you're around a smoker, you will die. Smokers may look relaxed and like they're having fun. Don't believe it. Vote yes on Proposition 421. Let's outlaw smoking everywhere, even in people's homes, and allow honest citizens to legally kill anyone who smokes. Let's live in a world without smokers. Prohibition works. Let's prove it. Let's move up the food chain. It's time to smoke the smokers. Vote yes on Proposition 421.
We're New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1.
No, Frank and I were talking that your mother was in a movie.
Yeah, she was actually the Bride of Frankenstein. Yes.
My film, Unrepented, did very well in Europe.
Yes. I believe I saw the news release. Yeah.
That's the famous story about Jerry Lee Lewis. You heard that story, haven't you? Sitting behind his desk at Paramount, talking with big executives and TV people, and all of a sudden the chick pops up underneath, wipes off her mouth, and walks out the door, and Jerry doesn't have an eye.
Yes, I know, Louis. That was a hell of a good story, and well, I'd kind of like that here.
Same thing.
You know, Jenny.
And I think there were complaints about it where I think like they were saying like they were going to censor it or stop in Britain, saying this is against the laws of nature.
Yeah. It is.
Sex is only the tip of the iceberg.
Well, it is, and you know, it's still, I got to say, an iceberg I want to get into.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back to the show, of course. Your coffee and cigarettes, Thursday double-double on HTLA Radio 1, New York, and indeed, most definitely, Spreaker's best talk. Wow. Yes, and if you're in that Spreaker.com chat room, you know the one, the only, HTLA #1 fan, Devlon Crawford, is in the house.
Yes.
And, of course, our reporter from Texas, Sharon Chesley. Yeah. Yeah, we got, of course, the one, the only Reverend Opocalypse. All that good stuff.
I think it should be short and sweet.
Well, okay, we're back.
About fucking time. Move on.
Okay. We are back. And hey, we've got the stories. It's the stories, baby.
It's just life, and I love doing it. I love doing these kind of stories anyway.
Well, then you called the right bloody show. There you go. We've definitely got the stories today, I'm telling you.
Yes.
Yeah, we do. Is this true? Oh, Tim Hortons Dark Roast. Trust me, if you haven't, geez, try it. It's like all kinds of pussycats in your mouth. Yeah. You know, and speaking of that, you know, I gotta do some more kind of, I guess what they would call it in the radio industry these days is interactive. But just wanted to share a little Facebook update, of course, from Sharon Chesley. Of course, she says about an hour ago, ow, pickle juice up the nose. Ouch. And, of course, I know, Gilbert, you know what that's like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's not awful, but just not good.
Well, she goes on to further say, of course, time for lunch in a few and my favorite show. And then back to work. And, of course, she's talking about this show. And she is, really.
Yes.
And, you know, that's always good to hear that stuff. You know, we're her favorite show. I mean, you know, that's pretty cool.
Yes.
You know, that I got to say, because, you know, back in the 80s there, I guess the early 90s, you know, the A-Team.
Yes.
You know, that was my favorite show. And those guys were just like rock gods to me, you know.
He called me, and he called me, and he kept calling me, and I wouldn't answer the phone.
Which one? George Papard, Dirk Benedict? I don't know. But anyway, it's nice to know that you know, some gal out there in Texas is petting her kitty and thinking I'm a god. Yes. And she was. That was actually on her Facebook yesterday. She was she was petting her kitty and well, it just went on from there. But, it's good to know. But, hey, welcome, everybody. Thanks for listening. I got to say, always appreciate it. And HTLA Radio 1 New York just loves you all to death, and just keep it up and keep petting and just tell your friends. And that's another thing too. We got some actual official kind of news.
Yes.
What the hell was it again? Oh yes, no. In the coming weeks.
Yes.
Not only, of course, we're making the move, or we're in transition, I guess, to put it in Caitlin kind of terms. Yes, HTLA is in transition.
Yes.
Yes. And we will expect that Vanity Fair cover. Yeah. But we're in transition to a new website, of course.
Yes.
And, with that comes, all sorts of cool new things. And one of the things they're doing, I saw the mock-ups today. They're printing up HTLA Radio 1 New York T-shirts and whatnot, of course. But they're also, the real fun part is they're actually printing up the Coffee and Cigarettes show. Gilbert, why are you? That's not funny. Oh, okay. You're laughing because the logo doesn't actually have your face on it, right?
Yes.
Right. Well, the logo is not going to have your face on it. Yeah, so keep an eye out, gang. Check it out when it gets rolling there. They I don't know what the hell they're doing with the website. But,
yes.
When it gets up, don't worry. You will hear about it here first. And well, I guess I would expect Apocalypse to advertise it too. And, so you'll be able to get your HTLA Radio 1 T-shirts. Yes. You'll be able to get your Coffee and Cigarettes T-shirts. And I think, Jenny and I have been talking to them about, doing the coffee mugs.
Yes.
Because, that would just make goddamn sense. So, hopefully we can announce those as well. That'll be great. But, you'll be able to get your own HTLA stuff. And, yes, don't worry. Greg Howe in Canada, he's been trying to we were with this other company doing T-shirts. And,
yes.
and the stupid assholes wouldn't ship to Canada. Like... who does that? So we've actually cut ties with them. They're done. Screw them, and we're going with some screen printers in the city here. And don't worry, you're going to be able to get your full supply of HTLA wear, and I don't know. I guess they'll do hats and all that other crap.
Yes,
crap too. You probably be able to get like a. We might put out the official Gilbert Gottfried baby spoon. Because I know I'd buy a couple of those for my kids.
Yes. Same thing.
Well, what, as like a baby fork? I don't know. Whatever. But anyway, that's what's going on. So look for that. We'll definitely give you all the updates and news when we have it. And rest assured, you'll be able to go out in style to Walmart wearing our crap. That's right. Well, moving on today, of course, we do have more stories.
Yes.
We got a lot more. Mayo Clinic has actually, released some research that looks at turning off cancer's growth. Of course, we reported way back in 1998. You'll probably remember that show, Gilbert. Yes, we reported, of course, that there was a 17-year-old scientist.
Yes.
In India, of all places, like one of the poorest countries in the world.
Yes.
Well, this kid back in 1998, he's a geneticist. He specializes in DNA.
Yes.
And just an absolute prodigy, this doctor is. But he came out with the research offering the scientific community, of course, proof that cancer and most illnesses and diseases can be turned off genetically.
Yes.
Well, finally now, almost 20 years later, the Mayo Clinic clues in. Yes. So Rochester, Minnesota, an international research team led by Mayo Clinic oncologist has found a new way to identify and potentially stop the progression of many late-stage cancers. The new approach can turn off genes that prevent cancer from growing, says Dr. Konstantinos Lazardis, the associate director at the Mayo Clinic, a Center for Individualized Medicine. Late-stage bladder, blood, bone, brain, lung, and kidney cancers are all examples that oncologists say could be stopped in their tracks. This is a huge step, he says. We have to understand that it is what is behind this process to attack it effectively, Lazardis said. Yes, to which I would submit that 17-year-old in India figured it out almost 20 years ago. Well, researchers at the center already look at cancer patients as normal DNA and the mutated DNA they find in their tumors. But this method, which has not had Food and Drug Administration approval yet, is still experimental and is based on a discipline called epigenomics, he said. Yes, because it's all about the skin. Wow, I think these Mayo Clinic guys need to go back to school. Well, no, I'm serious. Like, I'm pretty much an idiot here.
Yes.
You know, I'm an idiot. I've got a radio show. What the Christ do I know?
Yes.
Right? Well, you know, I'm an idiot, and even I know that Latin for skin is epi, and it's used in medical terminology, and epigenomics that's about skin, you idiots. Well, apparently they're saying it's a name for a complex biological process through which individual cells read their genetic blueprints and determine what type of tissue to become. Oh, well, that means that Caitlin can just tell her DNA to make a vagina. What's the problem there? The Mayo Clinic isn't the only medical facility that is looking at new epigenetics, which focuses on processes that determine how and when certain genes are turned on and off in epigenomics, the analysis of those changes across many genes in an organism, related to the development and potential treatment of cancers, but it's still seeking volunteers. There you go. So Bruce Jenner there could go and sign up for one of the test dealios.
Yes.
You know, and just tell him I want a vagina and, 70% of my pay. Yeah, why not? It's free. Hell, they might even pay him.
Yes.
Well, we may be able to screen people earlier with new methods that can prevent the development of cancer if we know what predisposes them to developing the disease, Lazardis said. And that's where the story ends, because the Mayo Clinic doesn't know ass. But don't you worry, I've got more goodies. Well, let's see. Let's see. How about we tell you about the I got a little U.S. Army story. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I joined the Army, and yes, of course, I'm still working on my country album this week.
Yes.
It's always a work in progress. I'll get it right somehow. Well, how about the U.S. Army research facility that has mistakenly shipped live anthrax, of course, to unsuspecting labs all over the U.S. and abroad for more than 10 years? Well, they failed to have effective and standardized procedures for killing the bacteria with radiation, according to a federal investigation report obtained by HTLA. The report, dated June 5th, cites the Dugway Proving Grounds Life Science Test Facility in Utah, with 3 violations of federal regulations working with potential bioterror agents, and orders the facility to immediately cease all shipments of inactivated anthrax specimens. According to the report by lab inspectors at the CDC, Dugway scientists are using cobalt-60 gamma radiation to kill or deactivate anthrax specimens before shipping them to government and private labs for further research. But Dugway's standard procedures for irradiating anthrax did not account account for the variable amounts of spores treated in the gamma cell irradiator, the report noted. The method used was not validated using standardized control spore samples and concentration, volumes, and levels of radiation. As a result, anthrax bacteria was shipped out at least 74 times to dozens of labs across the U.S., Canada, and a number of foreign countries from January 2005 to May of 2015. Anthrax spores can be potentially fatal if inhaled. So far, there have been no reports of infections from dugway mistakes, but 31 people who worked with the specimens have been put on antibiotics as a precaution. The military, of course, declined to comment. Yes, when we asked them about the findings of the report, quote, "We are conducting an investigation on the matter." And the CDC report is a component of that investigation, says Army Colonel Steve Warren, a Pentagon spokesman. A spokesperson for the CDC's Division of Select Agents and Toxins, which authored the report, regulates labs working with potential bioterror pathogens, said that the agency shared its report with the military, but, of course, had no further comment. Well, we reported, of course, last week that the Dugway Proving Ground faced potential sanctions. In 2007, federal lab regulators learned that the facility had used a different kind of experimental chemical method of killing anthrax specimens, and that was ineffective and resulted in unauthorized transfer of live anthrax bacteria to other facilities. CDC investigators in that case found that Dugway's staff apparently ignored the results of their own kill confirmation tests that showed growth of bacteria after the chemical inactivation was done, yet shipped the specimens anyway. It's unclear why CDC investigators didn't identify problems with Dugway's irradiation procedures at the time. The Department of Defense has refused for weeks to answer HTLA's repeated questions about the anthrax irradiation and kill verification protocols used at Dugway, and whether other military labs may also have failed to kill anthrax before shipping specimens. The good news, however, is that Amazon.com Prime subscribers can get anthrax shipped to them free. Well, a new CDC report about Dugway's anthrax mishaps, which is only 3 pages long, provides little detail about radiation dosages and durations and exactly how Dugway scientists are verifying that each batch was fully killed. The report addresses the problems with and in its general terms. But other military documents reviewed by HTLA indicate that some Army researchers had previously identified problems with the military's anthrax irradiation and kill verification procedures. More than 7 years ago, the nation's most infamous anthrax researcher warned military colleagues that a common way of verifying the deadly bacteria had been killed with radiation wasn't trustworthy enough to know that the specimens were safe for shipment. The emails from accused anthrax letter terrorist Bruce Irvins, a microbiologist at the Army's elite infectious disease laboratory in Fort Detrick, Maryland, offer plausible clues about what may have happened at Dugway. Emails sent by Irvins during the normal course of his work with anthrax at the U.S. Army Medical Research Institute of Infectious Diseases, often called USAMRIIDLPQC. I believe the short term is USAMRIDE.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, they provide a window into the difficulty scientists face killing the bacterium and its hardy spores. They also indicate that scientists did not follow a universal standardized protocol for what percentage of anthrax specimens in an irradiated batch needed to undergo and those verification tests before the batch was considered sterile and safe for shipment and use without significant safety precautions. The emails are among a massive trove of Ivins correspondence released in 2010 and posted online in a Freedom of Information Act reading room of the U.S. Army Medical Research and Material Command after federal officials formally closed their investigation into the 2001 anthrax attacks. Irvins, 62, died from an intentional overdose of acetaminophen, the putz, in 2008. As, of course, prosecutors prepared to charge him with sending the anthrax-filled letters that killed 5 and sickened 17 others.
Yes.
Yeah, kill yourself with acetaminophen. Well, in March 2008, an email about the planned shipment of some irradiated anthrax spores, Irvins references a recent division meeting and wrote, quote, as discussed at the meeting, 50% of the material was checked for sterility on SBA, and there was no growth at all. You may have seen redacted insistence that we need only check 10% of the material for sterility, but I think a 50% check for B anthracis samples was a good idea. We've had in the past some samples failing sterility checks, so 50% leaves us better safe than stupid. Well, that email indicates that to verify the irradiated spores were killed, samples being put on a sheep blood agar plate to see if the bacteria would grow. Isn't this great? Apocalypse is right. This is educational. What do you know? I'm shocked at that. We are really we are teaching something here.
I am in bed. I love to dance the tango.
Well, we were teaching something here. Yes. Well, the story actually does go on for, wait a minute, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 more paragraphs. But you know what? I love our listeners too much to put them through that.
Yes.
There you go. That's it. Oh, damn, Jenny's a little overzealous today. Well, listen, gang, thank you so much for kicking around this afternoon on the Thursday Double-Double. HTLA Radio 1, New York's Best Talk, of course, kicking it to you. Be sure to stay tuned tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, for the big Friday Frappuccino. I think we'll go 2 hours of educational broadcasting. I want to thank you, Louis, for being here again today. You didn't get to talk much, but hey, that's okay.
Didn't you read the goddamn script? I sent it to you.
No, but then I would, of course, ask, didn't you?
We're 5 steps away from winning the Academy Award.
Right.
And we didn't.
Good. Okay, and so there you go.
It's about fucking time. Right. Move on.
Okay, well, there you go. Gilbert, thank you again for being here, my friend.
Thank you for listening and support the show for the love of God.
That's right, and speaking of God, pick up Apocalypse's Bible at Amazon.com. And always want to thank Devlon Crawford, Sharon Chesley, Apocalypse, the intern, yes. So many more. Greg Howe, the list goes on and on. I can't possibly mention you all. Thank you so much for listening, and hey, have yourself a great Thursday. We'll catch you tomorrow.
We're New York's best talk radio, HTLA Radio 1.